Welcome to the Winston Salem Fairgrounds, Cat 3-4 Criterium. This is a super flat and fast course with a little chicane halfway around. Big thanks to Ken's Bike Shop and of course Jim Smalley. Without these two, the races wouldn't be possible. So here we were racing for about 45 minutes and did 42 laps, so just over a minute per lap. Kind of tells you how fast we're going. It lends itself to a good breakaway strategy. We had a slight headwind on the far side of the course and a tailwind coming into the finish. And crosswinds, since they're kind of at those 180 degree really wide turns, is kind of negligible. I've got with me my teammate Brian. He's there in purple. He just came off the Cat 4.5 not just 10 minutes before, so unfortunately he's feeling pretty fatigued already. So we've got two teams that I recognize out here. There's a couple more represented, but of note, we've got the Greensboro Velo Club. These guys are in all red kit. And then we've got in maroon kit the New Type Cycling. The Greensboro boys were executing this really good strategy where they would send one guy up off the front, and then everybody, the other three, would just kind of sit at the front of the following peloton and kind of set a false tempo. And nobody in the peloton really wanted to follow or chase the leader down. So it was kind of annoying because I was fairly impatient. I came to race my bike and I want to go hard, but when you're the only one chasing things back, it can get kind of discouraging after a while because you feel like you're the only one who's putting in work, and then you're going to be burnt out at the very end. They're starting to string out the field, and this New Type guy, he's just kind of setting false tempo. I think he's got a teammate up there. I'm not too motivated to chase us back so early on. It's barely the second lap, and I think that there's enough, legs in the field that somebody's going to get impatient and chase it back. So this could have been a successful breakaway. It's a very short course. So this was risky. I just found myself out of position, and I wasn't quite mentally ready to attack and chase this down just yet. So everything came back together. A lot of people are hanging out on the right. Nobody wants to pull. I was taking the inside line here. I figured I had enough speed. Everything was bunched up, and I came to race bikes, so I'm ready to go.
Think I should go? Why not? Let's see.
So here I just shouted out at our team soigné, our sportif director, Madman Mike, and I had this huge gap. So I asked him, hey, should I go? I was just soft pedaling, and I felt like I had a huge gap. So I'm like, well, if I can lap the field solo, how epic would that be? So I decided I'm just gonna kind of go for it. I didn't know how far back the chase group was. It looked like they're gaining on me. I'm just trying to get around one lap as fast as I could. But as you can see, I got caught here right around this corner, and I'll start to dial it back. But, trying to make things spicy, a little interesting. See what we got. All right, so rounding this little corner here, I found myself in a spot where, there's a slight tailwind and a nice wide open road in front of me. And I decided to, why not? Give it a go. We're going 20 miles an hour. My heart rate's already recovered. And if I can tease out any motivated racers still trying to feel out the field, might be able to start something. As you can see from the rear cam here, though, I managed to stretch out the field pretty bad. All I need is just one person to pop, and then I think if we've got the right composition, we can get a breakaway going. I thought we had a gap. We didn't. Everything was still strung out behind us, and if you could see from the rear cam. So I still keep burning the barn doors here and kind of separate myself from the brake. And I'm just kind of dangling out at the wind at this point. And, with the speed of the peloton, it wasn't really going to be successful. So I probably didn't do a great attack, particularly continuing it. I think I burned a little excess energy that I probably didn't need to.
You're it.
I am a super vocal crit raiser. Might annoy some people, hope not, but if I can kind of tease out any bits of information, that's more useful for me over the course of the race. I just tried saying, "Hey man, you're it," but of course, his teammates behind me, he's not going to chase it. So I've either got to close it down or encourage somebody else in the field to do it for me. So this is kind of the first thing that we see where the Greensboro Velo Club, they start doing the strategy where they post up most of their team at the front and then send one guy flying down the course. I think this one, they actually had two Greensboro guys that were going to try and work together. So I shout out, trying to warn the field. I didn't want to pull it back again, so if I can get other people to do the work, awesome. So I did shout at the new type cycling guy here. I'm in if you are, just because I think that this peloton isn't moving fast enough to bring these two guys back off the front. And if the peloton loses steam, that gap just widens further and further and further, and soon enough we get lapped. I've seen it before at this course, so I'm not satisfied with how fast we're going. And I think in order to keep trying to race, not just for second now with one guy off the front, we're now racing for third.
Up.
I think this bridging attempt was a lot of wasted energy on my part. I attacked around the corner and I sped up the peloton and then attacked off the front to catch two guys who were working together, who had been out there for a little while. I mean, it's only lap 13. It's just still really early on in the race. I think my goal of just speeding up the riders in the main pack was enough to bring these back over time, and I didn't have to expend all the energy that I did. I think what I was thinking of is I'm so hungry for that breakaway that I saw two guys that are going fast, and if I could, get any gap between the main group and myself, that I could do kind of like a team time trial breakaway out to the finish line. But just because of the work that I had done, and then attacking on top of the work that I had done, it kind of negated myself, I guess.
We got a gap. Up.
Here on the rear cam, you can see a Greensboro guy just come railing around the inside line here. I still think we have a gap. We don't. I think everybody just started to catch up to us. I wasn't aware of that, but I wanted to move up. I bring him back. Unfortunately, this turns out to be a wasted match because the second that I latch onto him, he just kind of sits up and lets me pull. So if he's not motivated to make a breakaway work, it's not going to stick. And then I kind of just let us get reabsorbed back into the peloton. Fast forwarding again a little bit, Greensboro Velo launches, and you can see both in the rear cam and the front cam, they've got two of their riders up on the front, and they're very much controlling the tempo. At this point, I'm starting to get tired of being the only person who's attacking, the only person who's chasing things back. So I, verbally announced, hey, I'm not going to do this one anymore. And if this is the hill that I die on, so be it. My intent for this announcement was more so just to try and get other people to race their bikes rather than just kind of throw in the hat, sit in the field, and have a nice, comfortable armchair ride for second place. So I'm just going to go ahead and fast forward from here until the next action bit happens. It's actually for a good duration of the rest of the race. This guy kind of stays out front by himself for a while. I refuse to be the one who pulls us back solo. Long story short, it kind of turns into this game where I'm sitting in the field, and if something starts to slow down, I don't mind pulling for a little bit to get the peloton speed up, but I pull right back in because it was, he had, about half a lap on us, so he had a good 30 seconds, which I did not want to let go any further than that, and we probably might not have been able to close it down by the time the race was coming to its closing laps. After about 6 or 7 laps of chasing, we get something interesting where we get 2 non-Greensboro Velo come around me and attack off the front. So I'm thinking if this is something that, a change of pace, some other teams are starting to get involved, if they're motivated, a little over half of the race is completed, this might be something that sticks.
Dick! Come on!
And now we are right back to where we started. We've got Greensboro off the front, Greensboro on the front, slowing things down, and it just feels like all this work is just for nothing. So here we've got somebody who's attacking to try and bring our Greensboro guy back, and another Greensboro teammate hops on his wheel. Imagine trying to neutralize this attack. I'm taking this wheel. I think we've got 10 to go or so. I'm going to rotate around him because I know the guy in front of me isn't going to do any work to bring his teammate back. So we've got to go around him. And now, after getting around this corner, anybody who's part of that effort had almost no commitment to continue the chase. So I found myself at a spot where I'm kind of looking back, wondering if anybody's going to help me chase and bring this guy back so we can try and race for first. I think talking after the race, nobody thought I had a chance of making it. The guy in front had probably about 20 seconds on the field. So it's going to be a pretty hard effort to try and bridge up to him. So it took me about 2.5 laps to catch this guy. His name's Steven. He's super nice. But I catch him, and if at this point we've got 6 or 7 laps to go left in the race, if we want a shot at winning, we need to stay away and keep our speed at about 26.5 miles an hour. Otherwise, I felt that the peloton was going to catch us. So I catch up to Steven, and his face is covered in sweat. And I say, hey man, let me pull for a lap. We're going to keep the speed up. He says, please, and off we go. So here we are in the finish straight of 2 laps to go. Now we've got 1 lap to go. This is kind of the last effort for playing cat and mouse with Steven. I know that I'm not a great sprinter, so at this finish straight is kind of where I try my last little move where I slow down, kind of soft pedal in the straight. As he starts coming abreast, I try and attack, try and shake him off. It doesn't work, so we've got 15 seconds between us and the peloton, and I think even if we kept a moderate effort, we'd be able to stay out in front of them. So at this point, I think I didn't do a great execution of the last lap, and I had kind of misassessed Steven to be, I thought he was hurting more than he really was, but we'll see how this plays out. I think I just kind of gave the spoiler alert. We're going to try and sprint it out at the end, but I don't quite have it in me to overtake him. So here he begins motoring up. He actually doesn't go into a sprint all that quickly, but even so, I try and get into that little sprinter's gap, but even at 1,000+ watts, I couldn't get enough enough momentum built up to come around him. But as always, a lot of fun. Everybody stayed safe, so good race day, and I will catch you next time.